You know that feeling, right? You're filling out your betting slip, you've got that one pick you're sure is a stone-cold lock, and then, well, the game actually happens. Trying to predict an NFL game can feel like a total coin flip. But what if the pros are looking at a completely different coin?
I mean, we've all been there. Every single fan has that one team that just makes no sense, the one that makes you want to tear your hair out. And this quote? This is from a Reddit user, and it just perfectly sums up the beautiful, frustrating chaos of the NFL. It feels random. It feels impossible sometimes.
Here's the thing, though. Behind all that chaos, there are patterns. There are these hidden signals and layers of data that professional bettors and analysts are using to get an edge. They're not just guessing. They're basically following a secret playbook that most of us never, ever get to see.
So in this explainer, we're going to peel back that curtain. We are going to break down the key layers of how the pros do their thing. We're moving way beyond just a gut feeling to see how the experts really predict an NFL game.
Okay, first up, let's start with the most obvious one, the money. There are millions and millions of dollars bet on every single game, but here's the secret. Not all of that money is created equal. The pros, they know how to completely ignore all the noise from the public and instead follow what they call the smart money.
And the key to finding it is this concept right here, reverse line movement. You got to understand this. It's a dead giveaway for where the professional money, the big money, is going. So think about it. If almost everybody is betting on one team, but the line, the odds, actually starts moving to favor the other team, that means some big-time bettors are dropping huge wagers and literally forcing the sports books to react.
And boom, check this out. This is a perfect real-world example. In this Falcons-Colts game, 68% of the public, all the small individual bets, were on the Colts. But look over on the right, 55% of the total money, the actual cash, was on the Falcons. That tells you that fewer people bet on Atlanta, but their bets were way, way bigger. That is reverse line movement in action. So, why would the smart money do that? Well, because they know things like this. Pittsburgh Steelers coach Mike Tomlin has a career record of covering the spread, outperforming expectations, a whopping 65% of the time when his team is the underdog. That is not a coincidence. That is a powerful, decades-long trend that the pros rely on to make their decisions.
So that historical data, that's one piece of the puzzle. But the pros, they dig way deeper. They move from the betting world into the nitty-gritty of specific on-field matchups. And you know where some of the best data for this comes from? Surprisingly, it comes from a high-level fantasy football analysis. See, pro fantasy analysts, they don't just care if a player's talented. They hunt for something very specific called a ceiling matchup. This is a game situation where a player is just perfectly set up to exploit an opponent's specific defensive scheme, giving him a much, much higher chance for a massive game-changing performance. Now, what's so cool about this is how specific it gets. It's not just, oh, this is a good receiver going against a bad defense. No. It's about finding that deep threat receiver who's playing a team that loves to blitz all the time. Because what does a blitz do? It leaves that receiver in a one-on-one situation downfield. Finding these little schematic advantages is how the pros pinpoint players who are about to have a monster game. Okay, so we've got the money and we've got the data matchups. But there are two more variables that most casual fans completely overlook, but are absolutely critical for the pros. And that's injuries and the officials.
Think about the official injury report from the league. It's designed to be vague. It just says a player is questionable. Okay, but what does that actually mean? Well, on the right, you have an analysis from an injury expert. He's providing the crucial context. He's saying, yeah, he's playing, but he might need time to knock the rust off. That little piece of nuance, that can be the difference between winning and losing your bet.
And that brings us to the last piece. The one person on the field who isn't wearing a team's jersey, but who can have a massive impact on the final score. The person who can change the entire game with a single whistle. The referee. This chart is fascinating. It shows the tendencies of referee Brad Rogers and his crew. Look at that. 75% of the penalties they call are on the offense or special teams. Now, that is way higher than the league average of 65%. It means this specific crew is far more likely to throw a flag on the team that has the ball.
So how does this actually matter in a real game? Well, that same referee crew was assigned to a Steelers-Chargers game. And get this, the Chargers just happened to be one of the most penalized offenses in the entire league, while the Steelers were one of the least. On top of that, the Chargers were missing their starting offensive tackles. You see, this isn't a guess anymore. It's a clear, data-backed disadvantage for the Chargers, all because of who is assigned to ref the game.
All right,
We've just pulled back the curtain on 4 key layers of professional analysis. So now let's put it all together into a really simple checklist you can use next Sunday to start thinking and watching just like a pro.
It's really just a 4-step process. First, you follow the smart money by looking for that reverse line movement. Second, you find the data mismatch. You look for those players who have a ceiling matchup. Third, read between the lines on the injury report. And fourth, you gotta know the zebra, that's slang for the referee, and understand the specific tendencies of their crew.
And just like that, you've completely changed how you look at a football game. You're not just picking your favorite team anymore. You're actually using the same tools as the experts to make a layered, informed, and data-backed prediction.
So now you have the framework, you have the tools. But it really does lead to a much bigger question, doesn't it? In a sport where the ball can take a funny bounce, where a player can make a miraculous once-in-a-lifetime play, how much of the game can ever really be predicted, even with all this data? What role is left for pure, beautiful, chaotic chance?